Hey everybody, it's Frank here, the Mad Dad, and today is Sunday, March 29th, day 9? Day 10? I think either day 9 or day 10 of my self-isolation. Yeah, that would mean that I've got either 4 or 5 days to go. Anyways, I'm finished. Thursday night's my last day of self-isolation. And then Friday, well, I get to join. I guess I don't really get to join the world because the virus situation is not getting any better. Yeah, like even since the last time I talked, thousands and thousands of more people have died. Hundreds of thousands of people, additional people are being infected. It seems to be doubling every 3 or 4 days. But I do have to say that I think here in at least British Columbia, Canada, things do seem to be, well, potentially leveling out. We haven't had a lot of extra cases here in British Columbia. You know, you keep having these thoughts that maybe this will all blow over fairly quickly, right? But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. It just doesn't happen. So, you know, I'm still doing pretty good. You know, you have to put things into context again, and I have it pretty good. You know, I don't really have a lot of worries right now. Obviously, I worry about anybody I know, actually anybody getting sick. That's a horrible thing. And a lot of my relatives are in Italy as well, in northern Italy, which is where coronavirus has really hit. But as of now, anyways, they're still okay. So, you know, I've had a lot of time to think over the last few days, think about what I want to do. You know, think about where I am in life. You know, I'm 54 years old as of today, rapidly approaching 55. Hard to believe that, for me, obviously you don't know me, so you wouldn't know that, but yeah, like, time just goes by like that. It's my son's 16th birthday in 2 days. Wow, 16 years old. Not to say that my son, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's really, really, really matured a lot over the last little while. So I'm, you know, pretty proud of him for what he's doing. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I'm pretty proud of him. You know, point is they want to keep people around them safe, which is the right thing to do. So, you know, for I think the 15, 16, 17, actually probably like in their mid-20s, this is the age that we really need to worry about during this time, because that generation does not really seem to understand the seriousness of these problems. The majority of them may get sick from coronavirus, and they know that they're going to get sick, but they also know that it's probably not going to kill them, which means that they don't have a lot to lose. It's, of course, they go out and then they infect other people, and those people can't handle it or can't take it because their immune system's low, and then they wind up dying. So, yeah, just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And then, you know, over on the other side of the border there, I was just reading a little bit, and amazingly, President Donald Trump's approval ratings are going up. Now, is that just because, I don't understand why, really, because he's still an idiot. You know, you listen to him talk, it's really hard to understand a conversation with him. I wouldn't even say understand a conversation with him, but when you're listening to him speak, he just seems like there's not a lot of substance to his conversation. He does potentially have some very good advisors around him, which is amazing. You know, the person, Faust, I think his name is, or Feist, or whatever. I like that guy. That guy seems to have his shit together, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's adding a little bit of realism to all this that's going on. But yeah, his Trump's approval ratings are up. So does that mean that he's going to get elected again? You know, I've been having discussions with my partner about this because we've been talking about, she doesn't seem to think that there's going to be another American election. She thinks that there'll be a reason not to hold that election. And everything that I've read says that that's not necessarily possible. You can't just not have, well, I guess you could, sorry, I know I'm rubbing my nose here. I shouldn't be touching my face. But anyways, they say that constitutionally, and I don't know a lot about the American Constitution, but constitutionally, the president's second term, when it ends, and that's it. It's done. And she seems to think that he's going to find a way to manipulate the system or say, it's wartime. But even then, in war times, I don't think a president's ever been able to stay. I don't think there's any circumstance which allows a president to stay. Now, that's not to say he can't be reelected, because he certainly could be reelected. Can he force the election to be delayed? I guess that's a good question too. Is it possible? I don't know the answer to that. If basically they're doing, and maybe here's the thing is, he wants to do quarantines. That's where we're going. So he wants to quarantine cities, areas, keep everybody inside. There would be one way to prevent people from voting is if they had a quarantine and said to everybody, no, you can't go out, you can't vote. And then in that case, all the voting would have to be done by mail. So that would be one way to do it. I could see that potentially to keep people from getting out and voting. Yeah, do that quarantine. The other really interesting thing I thought, and it's kind of brilliant on his part. He's a marketer. He does know how to market. I'll give him that. He may be an idiot, but when it comes to, and I can't even really say he's an idiot. He's actually a pretty smart person. It's just he has no moral compass, and he doesn't really have any empathy for anybody, I don't believe. He's not an empathetic person. But he knows how to game the system. And so here's what I was getting back to is he wants to send all of the stimulus checks. Basically, they're going to send out checks to, I guess, every family in the United States. That'll be interesting to see if he does that, if he finds ways to limit who actually gets the checks. But let's say he wants to send a check to every family in the United States. He is going to sign the checks. And he's probably going to put something on there like, this check was made for you by Donald Trump, so that your government's working, or some sort of BS like that. And, it's pretty fucking brilliant, actually. So you're going to get every family in the United States potentially could get a check with his signature and something else on it. So of course they're going to look at it and go, oh well, Donald Trump just gave me $1,000 or $1,200. I'm going to vote for him. Brilliant. Fucking smart. Now, whether he came up with the idea or somebody else, he probably came up with the idea. That's the type of thing he would come up with. So now it'll be interesting to see what happens around that. If he actually wants to go through with that, is there any recourse to prevent that from happening? That's the big question. All right. So that's basically the election, or what potential election there could be in November, which is still, what are we in now? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 8 months away. Certainly not a long time. So hopefully this is all blown over by then. And I think that if they really, a full quarantine, yeah, I guess that's possible. It's just how would people get food and groceries and do stuff. I've even got issues where I'm thinking, for my business, I have to do banking. And I guess I could do it all electronically. I have to take a picture of, and we mostly get checks as well. So I guess I'd have to take a picture of each check and deposit it. Now, the interesting thing about that, from a bank's perspective, sorry, I touched my face again. From a bank's perspective, I get charged $1.50. I believe it's $1.50 for every check I deposit. So if I have to deposit like 20 or 30 checks, that's going to be like $1.50, $35, $40, $50, plus all my other service fees that go on top of it. Banks charge the shit out of businesses. They make a lot of money from businesses. That's where the bulk of their money is. Banks are not hurting. I don't even think with all the stuff going on, banks are hurting. They'll figure out a way to get all this money back from us anyways. But are they going to do something about that? If you have to do all your checks electronically, is there a way to get around that? I'll have to take a look at that. I'm trying to do things like even defer my mortgage, which the Canadian government said, the bank said you could defer your mortgage for a period of time to keep a little bit of financial pressure off of us. And I phoned somebody once, left a message, haven't returned a call. That was last Friday, I think, so over a week ago. And then I filled in a form on the website, I think on Thursday of this week, and I haven't heard anything back about that either. So I'm kind of still waiting to see if that can happen, which would obviously help a lot if you could defer your mortgages. Yeah. The economic situation is not good, and like I said, I'm sure I'm going to be okay through all this. I have enough resources to weather a storm for 6 months, maybe even a year, I guess, if it came down to it. I hope to God it doesn't last a year, but if it really came down to it, I probably could weather the storm for a year, but I definitely would not be in the same position. You know, this thing without people working and things being delayed, you know, all you're really doing is pushing it down the road. You know, a lot of people that maybe had substantial retirement savings and stuff like that, now they have to dip into the retirement savings or things like that. Even after this is over, there's still going to be a lot of negative consequences. The economy obviously will bounce back. But when you think about all of this debt that we're all incurring now because we can't work, you know, everything comes to a grinding halt. But what are the choices? I don't really see any choices. The choices are everybody gets sick. 97% of people survive, 3% of people die. Even that 3% of people dying has a huge economic problem to it. And that doesn't even count the sorrow and everything else that goes along with it. So, anyways. Like I said before, interesting times we're living in. We'll look back at this in 2 or 3 years or 5 years, maybe even a year, and recognize what we're going through. And it'll be really interesting to see where everything is in that period of time. Even though coronavirus may, and that's a big, you know, it's a may, big if, may have been defeated, right? It'll be interesting to see how everything else goes, what the long-term fallout of this situation is. You know, the short term is what we see right now. Long term is a different situation. It'll be really interesting to see. Anyways, those are my rants and raves for the day. 5 days to go, 4 days to go. I think 4 days to go. And then I'll be able to get back to life. I'll see whether I keep doing these videos or not. You know, I'm going to say one more thing. If you've gotten this far, if you're still watching. A couple of months ago, I put out a video on how I wanted to start seeing if I could build a YouTube business. And I'll make a link to it above. And, you know, it seemed to me like it wasn't a complicated thing. It was really all about marketing. You know what I've learned is that even though YouTube is fairly new, it's extremely competitive. It's actually really, really hard to get people to view your stuff. And you know, I've created like, I don't know, 20 videos over that period of time. And the ones that I've done on like hardware and stuff like that do okay. I mean, they'll get a couple hundred views, so they're doing okay. These views, these ones that I'm doing right now, dick, right? They get nothing. Maybe 3 or 4 views. So I'm not really too concerned about anybody watching this. But you know, all I was going to say is that it's really, it's not that easy to turn YouTube into a business by posting videos, I guess, unless you're really good at what you're doing. Or you do something, obviously you have to have something that people are enticed enough to want to watch. Yeah. You know, I think I'll leave this for a topic tomorrow. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, so I have something to actually talk about tomorrow. All right, anyways, we're going to leave it for here. Hey, everybody, stay safe. Follow the rules. Don't infect other people by not following the rules. Even if you don't think you're sick, follow the rules. Stay away. Do your social distancing, because it's not just you that you have to worry about. You have to think about everybody. Don't fuck it up for everybody else. Let's get through this. Let's get over this. All right? Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.